Hey, you people, you'll show me wonders. Can you imagine this? Person taking a loan of 250,000 Kenyan shillings. That's like $2,000. That's like $2,000. Let me just break perspective so that you guys understand how much I'm talking about. For the purposes of wedding, there's no problem with that. But now, guess the problem where it is right now. They are broke, or he is broke, and he is alone on top of that. Guess what? He's not only not having the capacity to pay back this amount of money, but he's a what? He's alone by himself, And I asked, what the heck compelled you to do exactly that? And obviously, you expect the answer for that. Hey, I love this lady. She was amazing. She's great. And by the way, guess what? I did not have the capacity to actually go ahead and be able to fund, for this kind of a wedding. And she was kind of a luxurious person in terms of the expenditures and what have you. That's why I went ahead and broke and to my circle, I took that loan for me to be able to fund that specific wedding. And here I am. I need your advice. What exactly can I do? But the question I asked, do you have a job? And he said, fine. Before I share the information, anyway, guys, guess what? I'm going to share this information and the purposes of me sharing this information. And by the way, with the consent of this this in specific individual said, hey, share this information out there for the people to actually benefit out of it. And I'm going to do so for free. But the only thing I want from you as a return and is a request. It's down below there is a small button written subscribe. Hit that magical button. It actually shows you or gonna tell you whenever I upload a new good video. Like this video, move to the next level. By the way, that's why you should actually hit that subscription button. Now here we are. This is a case scenario of an individual who took a loan of 250,000 Kenyan shillings or $2,000 for the purposes of the wedding and all those kind of things. Now, this is where people do not understand there is a very thin boundary or margin line between what we call the emotional issues and financial issues. These are two different things that I want to talk about today. Emotional issues and what we call the logical, or should I call them the financial issues, okay? Financial issues. And that's why I always love to ask people. It's always good to ask your partner. See, that guy whom you're dating, that girl whom you're dating, you guys are looking forward into having a wedding or marriage or whichever the kind of a case you want to have. It's always good as much as you ask them, hey, do you love me? Hey, all those kind of things. As much as after you feeding the emotional part of you, like you're being loved, you're being appreciated, all those presents are being bought for you and all those kind of things. And by the way, this is where I always tell the ladies, it's good to make sure that you understand your man. If this lady was wise enough, could understand him, if this man has the audacity to go out there, take a loan to fund a wedding. See, one thing, let's agree. Wedding is a what? Can you imagine this? A wedding is a good thing. I understand it's an amazing occasion for some of the people, but not for me. I don't like it, that's for sure. And I know you'll be like, Joseph, you're acting like that because you don't love the wedding. No, just because I don't love it, no, I don't mean that's why I'm talking about it that way. I'm saying it's actually a consumable. This is a consumable, okay? This is a consumable. It means it's a thing that does not generate anything. And one principle of taking a loan from anywhere, you ought to channel it towards an investment. This is a consumable. And by the way, if you tell me, what do I choose between a wedding and a marriage? I will choose marriage like a million times. Why? I actually see people spending like times and times, years and years planning for a wedding just for a single day. They never even sit down and talk about the marriage. Marriage is the real deal. That's a fact. You know why? You get to a board to somebody who has the audacity to take a loan to fund the consumables. Then you're going to have this person getting to the, you get into their lives. Then these are the guys who can take a loan and then maybe to take you some outing and all those kind of things. That is wrong financially. That's for a fact. And that's all I advise people. Even when you're talking about the emotional issues to do with love, feelings and all those kind of things, feelings and all those kind of things. Talk about investment, talk about investment, sometimes I always tell ladies, hey, see, it does not make you wrong to ask your guy, hey, guess what? By the way, if you don't mind, like, for how long have you been working? I say, well, I've been employed for the last 3 years. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And by the way, there is issues about investments. And by the way, how do you view it? Sometimes it's good to ask this question in a wise way so that they don't feel like you're trying to gold dig them, yeah? So it's good to ask like, okay, fine, you've been working for 3 years. Wow, that's quite amazing. You sound lucky. By the way, I just got employed, by the way. Would you mind to maybe share with me, like, where can I invest in? How can I go about it? You're asking them where you can invest, but indeed you're asking to know whether they understand things to do with investments. And you ask, wow. By the way, I do watch some guy called Good Josephine talks about money market fund or investments or common businesses. And I was like, You get some information about that? Maybe perhaps you can channel or direct me or something of sort. If they say, I know nothing about that, I don't even care about that, my issue is for now, it's just making myself happy going out and all those kind of things. Then you know one thing, you're getting yourself on board with somebody who knows nothing about the finance. And let me tell you one secret, if you didn't know this, okay? Over 75% of the marriages are actually breaking up because of finances. I'll repeat my point. Over 75% of marriages are actually breaking up because of finances. And this case scenario is not left behind. So this guy took the loan. The guy was employed. That's a good thing. So he was financing the loan. At least it's still okay. But again, he did the mistake. Along the way, I asked then what compelled you guys to sort of separate or something of sort? He said, we aren't separated, but we are sort of like technically not together on board. And I why on what perspective? Because I see how I'm perceiving life and ask, how are you perceiving life? Because I just want to buy something, I want to invest somewhere, I want to do some things, but they are not for that. And I ask, why are they not for that? Because you see, the reason as to why even the very first time I actually went ahead and took this loan is because this kind of a lady who was not even understanding, she was like, hey, you have to take a loan. I love wedding. I love all those kind of things that are amazing. And we understand there is nothing wrong with that. And if you have money, not a loan, it's okay. You can do that. You can even do the expensive one. But the question is this, at what cost? You see, if you guys do not get along all the way when you are dating, these are some of the red flags that you're supposed to understand. Even if you come on board, there are some of the many things that you guys won't agree whenever it comes to the finances. Another wrong thing that you do when you take this loan to finance the marriage or the wedding rather, and maybe perhaps they know that you've taken a loan to do exactly that, or maybe let's say they do not. You've actually showed them a lifestyle of you cannot afford. Then you're faking yourself. You get on board, then you reveal the real you. Once you reveal the real you, they were never in love with you. They were in love with your fake you or ideal you. Now here comes the real you who does not even afford this kind of a lifestyle. It's a reality. I mean, for example, let's say today I get a lady and maybe we do, this wedding whereby we're being carried by, say, choppers and what have you. I mean, like this, flamboyant sort of a lifestyle. Then what do you think she gets into her head? This guy is financially stable. The guy has invested. The guy has done this on the other. That's a reality. They will tend to presume that. That's for sure. For example, if today you invite me on your meeting, let's say in a seminar, and then you just a few minutes you hear some chopper, I don't know, whatever out there, then what do you think about me? Probably this guy has some cash. Get what I'm saying? So you create that, sort of an impression, and it's not a real one. So once they come on board and then they realize, hey, you did show me a lifestyle that you cannot be able to afford. Then here you are, you're telling me that I cannot be able to get this when I want it at this particular time. Then what do you think? You rub shoulders. And once you rub shoulders, then you develop what we call a difference between the two of you. And when you develop the difference between the two of you, what do you think happens at the end of the day? You actually go ahead and do what? You crash. And once you crash, whatever you guys you're holding dear between the two of you, it's no longer there. The emotional part of it is affected. And where's the origin? The origin is from the finance. So if you guys, you can be able to tackle this area, this will actually tremendously solve a lot of things whenever it comes to the emotional part. You see, I usually feel bad when I see this kind of cases, people taking loans to fund their weddings and all those kind of things. It's not really, it's uncalled for. If you cannot be able to afford it, allow me just to call this one is a luxury. Okay, you see, in Africa, we have this tendency. If you go to, you cannot go to a butchery and take a credit. You cannot show up to a butchery. See, a butchery is that place or a vendor where people are selling meat. You say, hey, guess what? I do not have money today, but if you can lend me some few kilos of meat, then I'll be able to pay you back after some days. Hardly will you ever see people doing that because that one is actually considered like a luxury. You get what I'm saying? So, but if you go to a place where they are selling the, cooking flour, maybe let's say wheat flour, or maybe let's say, not even wheat flour in Africa, by the way, maybe let's say maize flour or corn flour, however you guys call it. And then you say, hey, guess what? My kid's gonna sleep hungry. I was requesting if you guys, you can just lend me, some 2 kilos of, maize flour, then I'll be able to pay back. Then that's one is actually basic. It's like our staple food here in Kenya. So if you borrow that, then people be like, okay, fine. If this guy is to a point of him borrowing this corn flour, maize flour, whatever, maybe he just want to make some ugali out there, or you guys call it fufu or whatever the thing is. Okay, it sounds so basic, sounds like real and legit. Then people can actually lend you. It's like going out in a shop and you're trying to borrow a soda for a credit instead of a water. You get what I'm saying? So point is, this one is actually considered as a luxury. And it's always good to understand your numbers. Never, ever, ever. Let me just teach you these things. Never, ever two things. Number one, never take a loan to fund the consumables. What are consumables? Things that do not generate any income. We don't expect this marriage to generate any income. Yeah, I know you may argue from the point of, but you guys coming on board, you can be able to help each other. Therefore, it means you guys, you can make. That's not the principle. The principle of a loan, you take it, buy an asset that's appreciating in value. Two, you actually take the money, invest from where it's actually generating some cash flow out there. Those are the basic principles. Done. There is no any other option out there. Whatever you try to justify it, that's for a fact. That's what you're supposed to do. But if you're taking it to do exactly this, get what's gonna happen. It's gonna be very, very tough and rough on you. That is not exactly what we do whenever it comes to the finance. Number two, do not and in any way use money to accommodate somebody. Do not use money in any way to have somebody in your life. Because from where I read this script, it's like this guy tried the much as they can to make sure that they win the girl. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is you're winning her on a wrong way. You getting a loan, getting yourself into a ditch. You've not invested. And ask the question, okay, fine. By the time you're getting this loan, did you had a business in operation? No. Had you invested before? No. Did you had a property or an asset that you had bought before? No. Come on. Come on. You don't do that. You see, this is what I always tell people. By the way, this case scenario is similar to a case scenario of somebody who withdraws the money or misuses the money, buys the things that they do not want to impress people who they do not even love or perhaps they don't even know. That's the reality. It's like just withdrawing your money and burning it. That is exactly what this guy did. This guy could have focused on things like acquiring an asset, because the moment you marry and you bring somebody on board, there are prospects of you getting kids. You know, even if you tell me, hey, you're thinking about how you can invest for the sake of your kids, for the sake of your future and all those kind of things, that makes sense. But if you take a loan to fund at that single specific day, you have fleet of cars, you know, just to impress people, you don't even know them. Probably in that wedding where maybe it was attended by thousands of people, you only know few guys out there, maybe like 10 of them. Those are the only guys who matters in your life. And maybe you couldn't even use 250,000 Kenyan shillings to impress them. Those are the parameters that you have to understand. You see, even if you come on social media and say, hey, X so and so had a very flamboyant lifestyle, had a flamboyant sort of a wedding and all those kind of things, then we'll forget. The next minute we forget, we don't even remember you. Even if you show us your wedding on the TV, we don't even remember you. We are done about that. It's okay, it matters a lot to you guys. Fine, if you can afford it. But if you cannot afford it, then why get yourself in a situation whereby getting out, it's actually a menace? And this is a problem that is facing most of what we call the middle incomers. They're actually getting themselves into unhealthy debts, because this one is basically an unhealthy debt. The guy called me saying, hey, I think I'm depressed where I am. You see, I'm alone. That's what made me took this loan. I no longer have it. It's like taking a loan and buy a property, and then the property, I don't want to say anybody's a property. No, with all the respect to our beautiful ladies, the point is this. It's like taking this loan to make sure that at least you get that lady, you know, make her yours, and then in the process, she gets off the board, and then you again left behind, and again, you are left broke in a situation whereby you do not have the capacity to do so. Fine, I did dig a little bit and I asked, okay, fine, what principles did you use to slot like, hey, you can be able to repay this back loan? I said, hey, you know what, I have a 45, she told me, I have a 47,000 Kenyan shillings monthly salary, and the lady was coming on board with like 28,000. So I was doing some mathematics. Maybe perhaps if she can come on board and help me, we can be able. Now that's wrong. Now that's wrong. Can you imagine being married today? Being married, if you are a lady and you're watching this video, can you imagine being married today, and by next month you are entitled to repay a loan somewhere? How would you think about that? And this is not an education or a college loan. This is just by virtue of you getting married, you already have a loan on top of that. It's like the way in Kenya we are usually told, like, our kids has a loan and they are not even yet born. You get what I'm saying? So some of the reasons you ladies and men, you're supposed to be taking care of them before you get yourself in this case scenario. Anyway, guess what, guys? That marks the end of my video. But don't forget, pick my number from the description of this specific video. Let's talk business. I offer those services at a personal level for just a coffee price. And again, I do have booklets about investment. You can pick them. A copy goes for only 280 Kenyan shillings. For now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, hit that subscription button, like the video, and comment down below. See you in the next one.